While sewing machines come in various models, they fundamentally operate on the same principle. Understanding these basics is crucial for effectively using any sewing machine. Unless you're working with a vintage sewing machine model, most machine needles will fit your sewing machine. But selecting the right needle for your project is key. Do you know which one to use? This is part 5 of the Sewing Machine Overview. Machine needles. Machine needles come in a range of sizes and types to cater for different sewing requirements. In this video, we'll start by demonstrating how to replace the needle on your sewing machine and when it's time to do so. Then we'll delve into topics such as needle thickness, needle points, their respective uses, and finally, proper disposal methods for used needles. Generally, machine needles are interchangeable. If you look closer at a needle, you'll see that one side of the shank is flat and the other one is rounded. The eye of the needle is located just above the point. To properly insert a machine needle, begin by raising the needle and loosening the needle clamp screw. Next, position the needle with the flat side of the shank facing away from you. There is only one correct orientation for the needle, so you can't get it wrong as long as you don't force it. Push the needle up into the clamp as far as it can go. Once inserted, tighten the needle clamp screw securely. It is recommended to change your sewing machine needle after every 8 to 10 hours of sewing or after completing a large project. Ensuring your sewing machine operates at its best involves regular needle maintenance. If you notice issues like skipped stitches, fabric snags, or a dull needle point, it's time to replace the needle, even if it hasn't been used extensively. There are several compelling reasons to change a needle, including visible damage, such as bending or breaking, a popping sound during stitching, frequent thread breaks, and instances of stitch skipping all indicate a needle change is necessary. Furthermore, adapting to a different thread size or working with varied fabrics in terms of weight, thickness, or construction may require changing the needle. By addressing these concerns promptly, you'll enjoy smoother sewing and safeguard your sewing machine's longevity. The size of a needle corresponds to its coarseness or thickness, with higher numbers indicating a thicker needle. Generally, when working with finer threads, lighter fabric weights and tightly woven fabrics, it is advisable to use a finer needle. However, opting for a needle that's too fine can result in various issues, including thread abrasion, bending, breakage, interference with loop formation, and even skipped stitches. On the flip side, opting for a needle that's too coarse may result in fabric damage, unattractive seams, puckering, loop formation problems, and once again, skipped stitches. The best practice is to choose the smallest needle size that prevents skipped stitches. Additionally, it's beneficial to use the same thread for both the needle and the bobbin. Another important factor to consider is the needle point type. For most sewing tasks, regular sharp pointed needles are suitable. However, when working with knits, a ball point needle is recommended, as its rounded point can smoothly navigate between the yarns without piercing them. Lastly, there are wedge point needles specifically designed for sewing leather and vinyl to minimise the risk of splitting. Here is a helpful table to assist you in selecting the appropriate needle for different fabric types. Feel free to pause the video to view the table in detail. We've put together a handy PDF on the topic that you can print out and keep nearby while you're sewing. It also offers suggestions for the optimal thread type and stitch length. You can download it for free from our website. For more details on threads and their appropriate usage, refer to a dedicated lesson in the Essential Sewing Supplies course. Prior to commencing a new project, it's always wise to perform a test by using the chosen thread and needle size on a small piece of the same fabric you'll be sewing with. To evaluate new fabrics correctly for tension and stitch length, it's crucial to sew through 2 layers, replicating the conditions of your actual project. Learn about the machine setup in the following lessons. A valuable tip is to initiate each new project with a fresh needle that suits the specific requirements of the task at hand. Needles are affordable and in most cases not a long-lasting sewing tool, particularly when working with synthetic fabrics. A dull or overused needle can lead to snagging or puckering, and at its worst, it may bend or break instead of creating a neat, precise stitch. Properly dispose of old sewing machine needles in your local sharp spin, or you can explore other options, such as many pharmacies that offer needle disposal services. To recap, in this lesson we learned how and when to change a machine needle. We discussed which thickness and needle point to choose for a project, and how to dispose of a used needle. In the next lesson, we'll talk about selecting the right sewing machine model for your needs.